Oh my goodness. I am late tonight. Mr. Weekley and I were watching a TV show, and I was like, so let's see. We're going to start with a little story time. Looks like we have another fractured fairy tale picked out from one of the amazing students in our classroom. So tonight we have Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Wait a second. We had Goldilocks Rocks. Hi, Ruben. I'm late. Glad you're on time. Last night we read Goldilocks Rocks. Tonight we have Goatylocks and the Three Bears. And Kelsey, that's Blaine and Madison. Oh, bless your guys' heart. You guys were all on time, and I was the Pokey Buns tonight. Okay. Hi, Ruben. Okay, let's find out what happens to Goatylocks. Once upon a time, there was a kid named Goldilocks. That's pretty funny. Do you guys know what you call a baby goat? You call him a kid. So, get it? Okay. She lived down the road from a family of bears. When the bears went out for a walk one morning, well, you can probably guess what Goldilocks did. Inside the bear's house, Goldilocks found 3 bowls of porridge. She tasted the big bowl, but it was too hot. And she tasted the medium bowl, but it was too cold. And then she tasted a little bowl. It was just right. So she ate it. The little spoon, too. Do you guys know that goats will eat anything? A goat would actually eat a spoon, probably. Next, Goldilocks found 3 chairs. She tried the big chair, but it was too hard. And she tried the medium chair, but, it was too soft. And then she tried the little bear, and, ooh, it was just right. So she ate it, cushions and all, because that's what goats do. At this point, Goldilocks began to feel sleepy. Upstairs, she found 3 beds. She tested the big bed, but it was too lumpy. She tested the medium bed, but it was too squishy. Then she tested the little bed. It was just right. So she ate it, plus the blanket, 2 pillows, and a pair of pajamas. Then, with a contented sigh, contented means you just feel perfect. Then, with a contented sigh, Goldilocks fell fast asleep. Okay. Shortly thereafter, the bears came home. You can probably imagine the commotion. Commotion means the disturbance going on. Someone has been eating my porridge, said Papa Bear. Oh, no, said Papa Bear. Someone has been eating my porridge, said Papa Bear. Someone has been eating my porridge, said Mama Bear. Hey, where's my porridge? Asked Baby Bear. Get a load of this, called Papa Bear from the dining room. Someone has been sitting in my chair. Gracious, said Mama Bear. Someone has been sitting in my chair. Hey, where's my chair? Asked Baby Bear. They found the culprits upstairs. My bed, wailed Baby Bear. It's gone. Goldilocks opened her eyes. Above her stood 3 bears. Quickly, she jumped up and hoofed it for home, which probably sounds like the end of the story, but The next day, Goldilocks woke up feeling a little sheepish. She wanted to make things right with her neighbors, but how? Outside, she found her answer. How could the bears resist? Her gift was so pretty, so thoughtful. It was just right. Were the three bears. They ate it. Burp. The end. I don't know. Not one of my favorites. What'd you guys think? I mean, I always like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. That's always a good one, but All right. So, Seekers. Hey, Haley, you got here just in time. We're reading Seekers. All right. So, summarizing what we've already learned. Toklo was out there running from all these bears who didn't want them in his territory. Kalik has found a whole mess of white bears that she's hoping that she can learn from, and she was headed into the Flat Faces village to get some food. And Lusa, it appears, has escaped from the bear bowl, but we're not sure. So now tonight, it's Toklo. Back to Toklo. Let's see if he can find a territory that nobody will chase him out of. Toklo stopped to rest his paws, exhausted and panting. All the snow near the river had melted, and the sun beat down through his fur. Sometimes it was so strong he had to find shelter under shady, low-hanging trees during the hottest part of the day. Stepping into the river also helped cool him down, letting the water wash over his paws as he walked. Some days the river wound slowly through stands of tall trees, and then he would find it rushing wildly through a gorge with steep slopes of rock and sand rising up on either side. He had decided to follow the river to the far end of the valley, circling the mountain where he'd been chased off by the last bear. Toklo couldn't shake the feeling that Toby's spirit was in the river, traveling alongside him. Toby might be lonely if he took a different route. That would be just like his little brother, too feeble to enjoy his own company. Besides, rivers were shared territories. Toklo figured he couldn't get into too much trouble with other bears as long as he stayed near this one. Now, remember what it means if it's a shared territory. In other words, it belongs to all the bears. So nobody can really chase you out of it unless you're just, really bad, grumpy person, bear. The river led into another valley enclosed by steep, snowy mountains. In the distance, Toklo could still see the Bear Snout Mountain, higher than the other peaks, stretching up to sniff the clouds. Was it really stretching up to sniff the clouds? No, personification. The smell of roots and berries was stronger in the valley, and there were more bushes and wide stretches of grass instead of the forest trees. Somewhere ahead of him, there were unfamiliar smells and the sound of chattering, like birds, but lower pitched. Toklo climbed up to a bank of rocks and saw a black path ahead of him, crossing over the river. Now, for some of you that haven't been on here every time, the black path is the highway, okay? Down by the water, almost underneath the black path, was a gathering of strange animals that Toklo had never seen before. They looked a bit like bears, standing on skinny hind legs and waving their paws around. They were much smaller. Their pelts were not shaggy and black or brown, but smooth and multicolored. Some of them were even the color of berries or flowers or leaves. Their muzzles were pale and smooth and strangely flat, and patches of fur grew on top of their heads. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Do you guys have any ideas of what kind of animals these are? Spice cake? Where'd that come from? Don't say cake. Now I'm thinking about cake. All right, so hey, Abby, glad you're here. So I'm thinking these are really humans and they're like wearing coats. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, some of them were seated on things that looked like four-legged tree stumps. See where I'm going here? In front of flat wooden surfaces, all raised up on wooden legs. Many of the interesting smells were coming from the surfaces where the creatures had spread out stacks of what must be food, because they were lifting it to their mouths with their paws and eating it. Toklo's mouth watered. I feel like they're having a barbecue or a picnic or something. He wondered if he could get some of the food away from them. He studied the creatures more closely. They looked small and soft, which meant they should be easy to fight. But so did skunks. He knew not to pick a fight with a skunk. Hey, Christian. Little black and white animals, because once he had picked a fight with them, and the terrible scent had clung to his pelt for ages, making his eyes water and hiding the taste of anything he tried to eat. You guys have all smelled a skunk, right? Besides, these new creatures were very loud, and there were a lot of them. He couldn't be sure what sort of hidden claws or fangs they might have. Even worse, they were being protected by a large fire beast. It was hunkered down on a patch of gravel by the black path, staring at the creatures with its shiny round eyes. Its sides gleamed like the sky in the evening, and usually it wasn't growling or giving out belches of sour smoke. Toklo froze, hoping it hadn't caught his scent. It didn't move, and after a long moment, Toklo figured that it was just sitting there. So if you'll remember also, and for those of you that didn't we didn't share this with earlier, the, what do they call it? Fire beast. Those are cars. And so Toklo and the other bears actually think that they're like animals or beasts. So he's thinking, I hope this fire beast or car hasn't smelled out his scent. What's disgusting? I missed something, I guess. Okay. That didn't mean he wanted to attract its attention. He climbed further up the valley, staying away from the black path. There weren't many fire beasts traveling along it, although he saw more of the smooth pelted creatures playing along its edge, always with a fire beast crouched beside them. That night, Toklo found a tree with large roots and dug a den under them, taking the time to make it sturdy and densely packed. Densely is thick. This was made easier by the soft, moist earth in the valley, which he could sink his claws into as if it were water. He drifted off to sleep, wondering if he could make this place his territory. There was plenty of food. He hadn't even seen any other bears, and the breeze was warm and gentle, stroking his fur like the feel of his mother's tongue. Bang, bang, bang! Toklo scrambled to his paws, his ears ringing. Outside his den, the thin gray light of dawn was seeping through the trees along with a light mist. Then the noises started. Sharp popping sounds so loud they echoed around the valley. When he sniffed the air, all Toklo could smell was the bitter, heavy scent of smoke and metal. Smooth pelts were shouting from a distance, like their chatter yesterday, but harsher, louder. Toklo crouched at the back of his den, pressing himself into the earth and squeezing his eyes shut. The popping noises went on, and once he heard dogs barking in the distance. He'd seen a few dogs running through the forest when he was a cub, but his mother had always hurried him and Toby in the other direction, so he didn't know much about them, just that they were like wolves with snappier voices. So, Reuben, a fire beast is a car. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Christian. I know, Christian, you're always yelling at us during story time. I don't know what that's all about. Around sun-high, Toklo crawled to the mouth of his den and clawed some of the blackberries from the bush outside, but he couldn't bring himself to eat them. There was a tension in the air that made his belly clench, and he felt as if he was in danger without knowing exactly why. Night came, and the noises stopped. It took Toklo until moon-high to fall asleep. He dreamed that he was the lonely star in the sky again, but this time he was being chased by the other animals, who made loud popping sounds and breathed smoke out of their mouths. When he woke up the next morning, his heart was still pounding. He couldn't take another day of those noises. And clearly there was something dangerous about this place that kept other brown bears away. He should have known it was too good to be true. He scrambled out of his den, tasting the early morning air. The hills were silent and the breeze was chilly and damp. He was too scared to search for food. He wanted to get out of here as quick as possible. The sight of the Bear Snout mountain in the distance made him pause at the edge of the trees. Maybe he should try going that way, climb the mountain, and explore the valley on the other side. He padded down toward the river. The sun was peeking over the horizon, sending glittering shafts of light across the snowy peaks. But Toklo wasn't comforted by the warmth on his fur. He kept his head down, miserably listening to the growling of his empty stomach. Why are you yelling, Haley? Who is Jody Smith? That's Abby. And Abby. And I don't know what trains have to do with anything, Ruben. A scream shattered the quiet, and Toklo's head jerked up. Help! No! There were raised, smooth pelts voices as well, harsh and angry sounding. Toklo crouched lower to the ground. Maybe he could hide until they went away. He crept quietly over the leaves until he found a fat bush with a hollow in the center, which he climbed into. But the voices were coming closer, and a moment later, Toklo saw a brown bear cub racing toward him. Behind him were 4 smooth pelts, some of them red like berries, others in a glowing orange brighter than any flower Toklo had seen. The cub skidded to a stop beside Toklo's bush and spun around, trapped. 2 of the smooth pelts came closer and jabbed at it with long black sticks. Stop it, the cub howled. One of the smooth pelts picked up a stone and flung it at the cub. It flew past him and into the bush, smacking Toklo in the shoulder. Toklo let out a yelp of pain. Instantly, all the smooth pelts pointed their sticks at the bush, barking gruffly at one another. Now that they knew he was there, he had no choice but to run. Toklo sprang out of the bush, almost knocking the other cub off his feet. I'm just kind of curious. Who do you think this other cub may be? Come on, run, he yelled, racing up the slope deeper into the woods. The cub followed. There was a huge bang, and the cub squealed. Toklo glanced back and saw smoke bloom from one of the sticks. I wish Noah was on here. Noah was one of the first people to say that perhaps they would all run into each other. Instantly, all the smooth pelts pointed their sticks. Whoops, spread that part. There was another pop bang sound, and the cub beside him let out a howl of pain and tumbled to the ground. Blood spurted from his shoulder. Get up, Toklo cried. He shoved the cub back onto his paws, and they ran on, as fast as the wounded cub could manage. Toklo watched his blood splattering the leaves on the ground and listened to the sound of the smooth pelts not far behind them. He tried to think. The trail of blood would lead the dogs right to them, if their own scent wasn't enough to do that already. Over here, he bellowed, veering to the right. There was a stream this way, branching off the main river and heading for the base of the mountains where the meadows gave way to pebbly ravines. Toklo perked up his ears, hearing the rush of water ahead of him. Suddenly, the trees fell away on either side, and they were at the top of a rocky slope, with the stream sparkling at the bottom. They raced down, scrambling over the boulders. Toklo winced as one of his claws was wrenched back by a sharp stone. There was no time to lick the pain away. They had to get across the stream to hide their scent. So it's the humans that have a stick and they're jabbing. They were jabbing at the bears, Abby. But now I think the pop, pop, bang was they actually shot one of the bears. So have you guys figured out who maybe the other cub is? Maybe. Okay, I kind of think it's Khalik. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Dublin's outside. He smells terrible. I told him he couldn't come in my house because Ruben, as you know, I talk to Dublin all the time. All right. Toklo saw the cub hesitate, so he ran over and shoved him into the shallow water. Come on, he growled. They headed up the stream through the water. The pebbles rolled under Toklo's paws, making it hard to run, and the current tugged at his fur, slowing down both him and the cub. Toklo hoped staying in the water would be enough to throw the dogs off the scent trail. If they guessed which direction the bears had gone, it wouldn't take them long for them to catch up. He heard the dogs behind them baying angrily, but the sound was fading. Good, they must have lost the scent. Toklo kept running until the sound faded away, and then scrambled out of the stream, shaking the water from his pelt. They were at the bottom of a ravine with steep, rocky sides. Okay, a ravine is like the bottom of a mountain or hills. It's all rocky. The wounded cub was breathing heavily, his head hanging low, and his shoulder was bleeding even more. Toklo knew he couldn't run another paw step. He looked around until he spotted a dark hole halfway up one side of the ravine. A faint trail of smaller stones led up to it. Toklo nudged the cub onto the path and kept pushing him with his nose until the cub had stumbled and clawed his way up to a ledge outside the small cave. The hole was just big enough for 2 bears to lie down comfortably with a flat, sandy floor. Hmm. The cub, I'm sorry, I was just reading your guys' comments. The cub staggered inside and dropped to the floor, his sides heaving. Toklo stayed at the entrance, listening. There was no sound of the smooth pelts or their metal sticks or the dogs. They were safe for now, although he wouldn't have been in danger to start with. If the cub hadn't run into his bush, Toklo rounded on the wounded bear. What were you thinking? Don't you know to stay away from smooth pelts? Couldn't you smell them coming? The cub buried his nose under his paws and didn't answer. What's the matter? Toklo asked. Did they hit your tongue with their metal sticks too? The cub curled up on his side, his eyes tightly shut. Fine, Toklo muttered, stomping out of the cave. Yes, I know I nearly lost my fur rescuing you. No problem. You're welcome. He scrambled up to the top of the cliff where prickly bushes and yellow dandelions grew between the boulders. Toklo sniffed around for roots, his belly roaring hungrily. The sun still hadn't reached the middle of the sky yet. If he ate something to keep up his strength, he might be able to make it to the Bear Snout Mountain by nightfall. A whiff of rabbit scent drifted past his nose. Toklo paused, tracking it, and then crept across to a tangle of dead branches. That might have once been a leafy bush. Just as he got within paw's reach, a flash of brown fur darted out from underneath, and Toklo pounced. Yes! His claws sank into flesh, and he bit down hard, shaking the rabbit until he was sure it was dead. He tore off a mouthful of meat and gulped it down. A vision of the skinny cub came to his mind, curled up and bleeding on the cave floor. I don't owe him anything, Toklo told himself. He nearly got me killed. But there was something about him that reminded Toklo of Toby, weak and exhausted and starving. And this time Toklo had real food he could share. Okay, can you guys stop with the letters? It's a little disruptive, just saying. With a sigh, he picked up the rabbit with his teeth and stamped back to the edge of the cliff. The warm prey bounced against his paws as he eased himself down the rocky path to the cave. I found some prey, he announced, dropping the rabbit next to the cub. Christian, Blaine. The bear rolled over, turning his back to Toklo, and said nothing. Well, fine, Toklo growled. I'll eat it all myself then. What was wrong with this cub? At least Toby could talk. Toklo took a large bite out of the rabbit, determined to eat the whole thing. But then he looked up at the shape of the cub's ribs, sticking through his thin fur. And with a growl, Toklo shoved the rest of the rabbit toward him. I'll just leave it here, he muttered. He was too exhausted to go any further that day. His paws hurt from running across the rocks, and he still felt cold and wet from wading in the stream. He didn't want to go searching for another shelter either. This cave was not very large, but it was out of the wind, and it didn't smell of other bears. Hoping the cub wouldn't wake up and claw out his eyes, Toklo curled up with his back pressed to the cub's bony spine. The touch of his fur reminded him of his brother, and a wave of sadness washed over him again as he lay there. Stupid Toby, Toklo sighed, pushing the thought away. After a long while, he fell asleep. This is just another thing that reminds me. I agree with you, Haley. I think that they need to stop. It's distracting. Okay. I do think that Toklo loved Toby and missed him. I think, it's just kind of like you guys get with your siblings. You know you love them, but they just annoy you a little bit. Okay. Ruben, really? Now you're going to start with the letters? Okay. Oh my gosh. You can hear Dublin. He's outside barking. All right. It was dark outside when Toklo drifted awake. The heavy bulk of the other cub was no longer pressed against his back. Toklo opened his eyes and rolled over to see where he had gone. Crouched on the floor of the cave, staring at Toklo with round, dark eyes, was a young, smooth pelt. The brown bear cub was nowhere to be seen. What? Was a young, smooth pelt. Toklo leaped to his paws. Where is he? He roared furiously. What did you do with the cub? The smooth pelt flinched away, clutching his left shoulder. His light brown... Oh, I forgot about this part. What? Okay, this part's really cool. All right. So it wasn't one of the other bears. It wasn't Khalik he ran into. I hope you guys are listening closely or you will have missed this. Okay, the smooth pelt. What do we know the smooth pelts are? Okay, Ruben, please stop. Okay. It means chill. Okay, yeah, chill would be good. Thank you, Haley. I totally agree. Okay, so the smooth pelts we know are the humans. They call them flat faces, and they also call them smooth pelts. Why? Because their skin isn't all furry like bears. The smooth pelt flinched away, clutching his left shoulder. His light brown skin was stained with blood from a small, round wound. Okay, are you guys catching this? Or has Christian, Ruben, and Blaine been too distracting? Because I can reread if you didn't catch what's happening here. Abby, Haley, Madison. Okay, I'm just hoping me know. Haley? Okay, let me just read this part. Okay, so Toklo thinks that he wakes up and the cub is gone, right? It was dark outside when Toklo drifted awake. The heavy bulk of the other cub was no longer pressed against his back. Toklo opened his eyes and rolled over to see where he had gone. Crouched on the floor of the cave, staring at Toklo with round dark eyes, was a young smooth pelt. The brown bear cub was nowhere to be seen. So the brown bear cub is gone, but there's a smooth pelt. Toklo leaped to his paws. Where is he? He roared furiously. What did you do with the cub? The smooth pelt flinched away, clutching his left shoulder. His light brown skin was stained with blood from a small, round wound. The smooth pelt held out his paw, a tiny, hairless thing with no claws. Peace, the smooth pelt said in bear language. I am your friend. I just wonder if you guys have any idea what's going on yet. Haley, just ignore them. Okay. Let's see. 804. I will read up. Young 10-year-old. Toby. No, Haley, it's not Toby. Toby's gone. Okay, when it says it's a smooth pelt, it means it's a human. Okay? So bear cub's gone. Bear was wounded in the shoulder, and now there's a smooth pelt there, wounded in the shoulder. Okay, more of that later. So let's read one last little bedtime story. And it's really Rapunzel needed a haircut. Do you guys know Rapunzel? It's the Rapunzel, roll out your hair. She had the long hair, and the guy came up the tower to save her. All right. Really, Rapunzel needed a haircut. Let me tell you, it's lonely being a witch. When folks find out what I am, they just steer clear. I have no friends at all. Not one. It's unfair, really. A sweet girl with beautiful hair once lived with me, and I used to have a fantastic garden. Neither the girl nor the plants cared one whit that I was a witch. My flowers bloomed bright and tall. My radishes were to die for, but sadly, I haven't seen the girl or my garden in a while. It all started when a neighbor tried to steal my radishes. Here's how it went. My wife is going to have a baby, my neighbor stammered, and she craves your radishes. She swears if she doesn't get them, she'll just die. Okay, I said, but what will you give me in return? I can get a pretty penny for these at the farmer's market, you know. But I have no money, not a single dime, he whined. Maybe I'll give you our baby. We can always have more, I guess. Of course, I agreed. A baby would be better than gold. It would cure my loneliness. Already I'm wondering about her side of the story. People don't just give their babies away. When the time came, the man brought baby Rapunzel to me. I raised Rapunzel as my own daughter and gave her anything she wanted from my garden. Turnips, potatoes, berries, cucumbers. But do you know what her favorite food was? Radishes. The girl had good taste. All those vegetables helped Rapunzel's hair grow long and red. She sang sweet songs as she helped me tend the garden. The longer Rapunzel's hair grew, the more she loved it. She washed it and combed it and brushed it and braided it, and then she washed it again. You have no idea how much I spent on shampoo. One day, a group of neighbors gathered outside my garden. I heard them whispering, plotting, planning. This time, however, no one wanted to steal my radishes. Nope. They wanted to steal Rapunzel and use her hair for wigs. So I did what any mother would do. I locked the girl away in a tower. Rapunzel, let down your hair, I would call, and she would lean out of the window and wrap her hair around a hook, and then I'd climb up. Every day without fail, I brought her vegetables from the garden. At first, she seemed content. Content means happy. But one day she told me she was lonely, and if anyone knows how loneliness feels, it's me. How can I help? I asked. Bring me every mirror you can find, Rapunzel said. Then I can keep myself company. She's just going to look at herself in the mirror. Kind of like Kennedy and Reuben and Hunter and Latimer all do, Christian. Hauling a load of mirrors to the tower wasn't my idea of fun, but I did it anyway. I spent a week gathering every mirror in the village. Then I lugged them one by one into the tower. Let me tell you, it was not an easy task for a witch like me. Thanks, Rapunzel said, but I don't need the mirrors anymore. I met a handsome prince. He climbs up to visit me every day. What? I roared, my voice rattling the windows and shattering the mirrors. He's going to steal you away. I panicked. What could I do? How could I keep the prince away? In a blink, I grabbed Rapunzel's hair and I chopped it off. Clumps of it. Rapunzel wailed. Whoa! I admit I felt a little bit bad. It'll go back, I comforted. Short hair will be nice for the summer, much cooler. But she wouldn't stop crying. Let's go home, dear, I said. I'll make you a radish salad, okay? I fastened her hair clippings to the hook and we crawled down together. While Rapunzel chomped her salad, I returned to the tower and waited. Rapunzel, let down your hair, the prince called. I lowered Rapunzel's hair and the prince climbed up. This is not going to go well. When the prince saw me, his eyes widened. I gave him my most evil cackle. What's your evil cackle sound like? I'd meant only to scare him a little, but he leaped out of the window and landed on some thorny bushes below. The poor boy staggered about, clutching his eyes. I was going to climb down and help him, but he did a terrible thing. He reached for Rapunzel's hair and he yanked it from the hook. Then he ran away. That's why she wrapped it around the hook, Christian, so it wouldn't hurt. Since then, I've been trapped in this tower. I try to sing sweetly in hopes of rescue, but my voice is sour. I try to grow my hair long, but my split ends keep breaking off. Drat those mirrors for bringing me bad luck. A little bird told me Rapunzel and her prince got married. I'm sorry I missed the wedding. It sounded lovely. Do you know what the bride carried? A bouquet of radish roses. I missed a part. No, I didn't. That was weird. I felt like I missed a part. Okay, I don't know if Dublin is still outside, but he can't come in my house. He's been in the pond and he smells disgusting. Okay, so let me go see if he's outside. I'll be right back. Okay. He's already gone to bed, just like you little dumplings need to. And I will see you in the morning. But I'll miss you till then. Yes. Yes, I have a pawn. No, piano. Christian, do you play piano? Or are you just like learning how to spell piano? I don't know. All right, my little dumplings, thank you for joining me tonight. Have a good night's sleep. Lots of math and writing tomorrow.